That's...
I've had a bit of a tumble.
Well, that's easy to remember. 0118 999 88199 9119 7253.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is your dark coffee representation of color right here, because just like every cup of coffee I have, I love to splash a little bit of cream in the middle, if you get my drift. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, yes, this story is over 11 days old, but I don't think it had enough coverage, so I'm here to bring you said coverage, because quite clearly people have absolutely gone completely bonkers in the head. So Richard Ayoade, fantastic actor, starring as Maurice Moss in The IT Crowd, my favorite UK comedy of all time. It's the absolute GOAT. In fact, today I've started rewatching it from season 1 all over again, because it's simply, folks, just that good.
What do you say, newbie?
I came here to drink milk and kick ass. And I've just finished my milk.
But the reason why I do call out Mr. Ayoade today, well, because trans activists are not very happy about the fact he's endorsed Graham Linehan, the man behind the IT Crowd and Fathered Head, and of course, Dark Books, was it Black Books? But Richard Ayoade hasn't sat well with the trans activists out there, all three of them, because according to this article from the Daily Mail, they're trying to cancel him and Jonathan Ross because they're complimenting Graham Linehan's new book to be released in October. I think it's October the 18th, and it's about his memoirs, and I'm going to show you a preview of that book in a minute, because I have ordered a copy, hardback edition from Amazon. I cannot wait to get it, have a good old read. But of course now, the pair's crime, according to the trans campaigners, was to review a book written by controversial comedy writer Graham Linehan. Linehan is a long-time target of activists who shut him down, and his planned appearance at this year's Edinburgh's Fringe Festival. Do people still go to that? He performed elsewhere in the city. Last night, he announced he had written a book about his experiences of going from the widely celebrated writer Father Ted and the IT Crowd to being cancelled. The front cover of Tough Crowd features 2 quotes from Mr. Ayoade and Mr. Jonathan Ross. Mr. Ayoade, in fact, I'll even show you the quote because I'm not going to rinse and repeat it here, but there you go. But just have a look at the look how mad these activists are getting. LGBTQ plus fans have been shocked and disappointed to discover that along with the usual collection of well-known transphobes, Graham Linehan's new book contains an endorsement from Richard Ayoade. Whatever are we going to do? Ayoade has not publicly endorsed transphobism and anti-LGBT bigotry before. But of course, if you're lending your support to a long-time comedic writer and friend, that makes you one of them, right? Jen Ives just tore down my topless Richard Ayoade poster, shaking my head. Well, that's very strange because Mr. Ayoade is very shy about showing his body off. If you've watched Travel Man, which I highly recommend, it's free to stream on Amazon Prime. It's fantastic. I'm on the 2nd season now, but it's about a guy. Well, it's not about a guy. It's about Richard Ayoade who takes a trip with a famous friend to somewhere random in the part of the world, spends 48 hours there and flies right back to jolly old England all over again. So what does Richard Ayoade say here on the front cover, the hardback? His brilliance in prose is equal to his brilliance as a screenwriter. But because Dickie made these remarks, of course, he's incurred the wrath of the lunatic left out there. Are you surprised? I'm not at all, but it's quite surprising that someone who looks like Richard Ayoade, and I was the spitting image of him back in the mid-80s. It shows that these people are just delusional. They don't care about the complexion of your skin, despite the fact they always say, well, we're not in that same mindset, but they're going to go after anybody who supports a gentleman like Mr. Linehan. Can't wait to get this, by the way. It's going to be fantastic. In fact, on one of the audio commentaries I was watching for the IT crowd, Linehan had talked about his spats with the lunatic left on Twitter, or as he calls it in the show, Chitter. And it's any surprise that it's kind of come down to this. And you know, the thing with the IT crowd, Linehan wrote all the episodes. There was an episode where it was accused of being transphobic, but actually, when you do watch it, Denham Renham, who's played by the great Matt Berry, has basically meets a woman, and it's the woman of his dreams, but it turns out to be a man. But Renham still goes out with her. So I don't see where the transphobia exists. It's very strange that they would look into. It's like looking at a painting on the wall, and they ask you, what do you see? And you know, you might see a ship, you might see something else completely different. Yeah, what's really funny as well is that Richard Ayoade is married to Lydia Fox, who is the sister of Lawrence Fox. If you know anything about Mr. Fox, you know he's got very, how shall we say, very right-leaning views. So the fact that he's got a brother-in-law like Ayoade has got to be some really fun times over a Sunday roast, right? I'd love to be a fly in the wall in that circumstance. But yeah, the article does mention about Richard and Fox having a fallout because Fox had mentioned that woke people are fundamentally racist. I think the ideology behind woke isn't, but it leans into the fact that it actually, you know what? I wouldn't say it's racist, but it's trying to change the coat of paint on a famous white character and putting it with another color that people don't find acceptable. But if that's the case, then you're the racist, not the woke ideologists behind that image change. But of course, if you're of that mindset and you want to go after a writer and try to cancel them because you offended their sensibilities, well, something is definitely wrong with the system. And I guess when you give people an inch, they certainly take a mile. And you know, the IT crowd, it's just the reason why it's my all-time favorite UK comedy. It's right up there, man. It might even surpass Friends and Seinfeld for me because it just speaks to me as a geek, as a pop culture freak. And some of the items they had in that show in the background was sent in by fans. Even famous creators of comics were big fans of the show and had some of their memorabilia on display, and I just love that. And oh my god, if you've never seen the IT crowd, folks, you are missing out on something absolutely special. And you know, when it first came on Channel 4 as well, I just tuned into it because I liked the title. From the very first episode, I was absolutely hooked. And at this point in time, I didn't know much about Graham Linehan, the fact he was behind Dark Ball Black Books and Father Ted, which I've never watched, by the way. Yeah, I know you lot are in the comment section are going to say, you better watch Father Ted because it's really, really good. You will. So there you have it, folks. A little slice of humble pie, maybe. But I think this is going to be a bestseller for Mr. Graham Linehan. I can't wait to read it myself. And I will say that if there's one way I would like to go out of this earth to die in spectacular fashion, I think this moment from the 46-minute special of the IT crowd pretty much sums it up.
You're too small. You're too small to make good coffee.
You know what? Up yours.
I know. Little man, watch out!
Death by a boobed truck. That's exactly how I want to leave this earth, ladies and gentlemen. So if I were you, and if you were me, you better come back for the next video.
The barista goes to cross the road and is hit by a van with breasts.